Of the 13 COVID-19 cases in the Tan Tock Seng cluster, 5 are staff members and 8 are patients. The 5 staff include 2 doctors, a nurse, 1 healthcare assistant, and 1 cleaner who had worked in the ward where these cluster of cases has emerged. 7 patients were admitted to 1 ward in particular, that's Ward 9D, while 1 was admitted to Ward 9C. The cases have all been sent to NCID. They have been placed in isolation. The hospitals are also performing a phylogenetic test to assess whether any of these infections are due to viral variants of concern. But these tests take time, and the results are not expected to come out until the earliest next week, and they will give further information that would facilitate our epidemiological investigations. Of the staff, 4 of 5 have received vaccinations against COVID-19. 2 of the 8 patients have received some vaccinations. 1 had received 2 doses, whereas another had just received 1 dose. Those who have received vaccinations have derived some level of immune protection from the vaccines, but as is illustrated by this cluster, vaccination doesn't provide 100% protection, but it increases your resistance to getting symptomatic infection. It reduces the risk of you getting an infection and spreading that, and the vaccinations would remain protective for the wide majority of the population and staff who had received those vaccinations. There are no issues with the quality of the vaccine that they've received, nor any concerns about the cold chain supply of vaccines to the vaccination centers where they had received the vaccination. It is certainly a possibility that these reflect vaccination breakthrough cases, but require further study before we can properly characterize them, and this is ongoing.
We have also identified inpatients and staff who are close contact of the positive cases. To date, we have transferred 61 patients, including the confirmed patients, to NCID. We have since also placed 76 of our staff who have been in close contact on leave of absence awaiting their quarantine orders. Based on further contact tracing, we anticipate that more staff will be placed on leave of absence as well as quarantine. In view of our manpower situation, we have worked closely also with the Ministry to reduce non-urgent electives and non-life-threatening A&E attendances during this period. We have locked down 4 wards, as you have heard from DMS, and other patients and staff in those wards have been swabbed. So far, the first swab results for these other patients are all negative. They are being monitored actively for their health and well-being. When we lock down a ward, there is no in or out movement from that ward. So there is restricted movements for patients and staff, only for very essential testing. For example, they require a test in our radiology department. And even then, when we do move them, we take full precautions in moving them. But in all essence, there is strict restrictions on entry into the ward, so we will not admit any further patients into that ward, and we will have a dedicated group of staff taking care of those patients in the ward. As of yesterday, we have started mass screening for all inpatients and staff working in our wards. This is to cast our net wide in order to contain any potential and hidden risks. During this period, we have about 1,100 inpatients and 4,500 staff in our wards working across various shifts. This includes doctors, nurses, allied health professionals, housekeepers, and many other support staff. We will swab and test each and every one of them. All our inpatients will be swabbed by this evening, and all 4,500 staff will complete their swabbing by this weekend. We are not allowing visitors into our wards till further notice. For those patients who are critically ill, we will allow visitors by exception on a compassionate basis, but we will monitor them and encourage them to take precautions as they see to their loved ones who are critically ill.
We've studied this so far, and we can't find any obvious link that links that particular nurse to the current cluster we're looking in Tan Tock Seng in terms of where she's gone, where she works. It doesn't appear as if it overlaps with the movement of patients or the other staff that we've now detected as part of this cluster in Tan Tock Seng. So it doesn't appear at this stage that they are actually linked. But on an abundance of caution, the ward where she had previously been at is included in the list of wards that have been locked down with the purpose of ensuring that we have tighter surveillance. We screen and test all the staff and patients in that ward just to ensure that we're not missing anything. The investigation is still ongoing.